I'm going to give you, there's probably only 10 minutes here. We're going to kind of round out what Scott was saying this morning in terms of the InterSystems difference, why we, can help you in terms of getting data, and particularly in this, new world of AI, how do we move the data, get the data to where it is without creating huge amounts of cost and failed projects. So definitely the AI hype is real. I think anyone would have a hard time denying that. Hands up if you're familiar with the Gartner AI hype cycle. Have you seen that? I find this is quite interesting, and I don't exactly know where each of the different parts of AI exist today on this particular chart. But certainly, times like this, it feels like it's in every conversation. Everybody thinks it's going to solve massive amounts of problems. But I was reflecting on the fact that ChatGPT has now been out for over 2 years, and it doesn't feel like it's solved massive problems. It feels like it's making some real progress. And so for me personally, I know I've been past the peak of expectations, and I'm probably, falling down to the trough of disillusionment. But the good news is, no matter where you are or where the industry is on that particular chart, there are things that we're doing, which you would have seen this morning, to try and help make sure that your investments and your exploration around AI and large language models, don't go to waste. So let's talk a little bit about that. So the numbers are that 30% of Gen AI projects don't make it past proof of concept. And 48% of those that do get into production take 8 months. And so that's quite a lot of risk to take. And I think a lot of organizations are looking at that as an investment. It's not something that they necessarily expect results out of. But you've got this very powerful, expensive Formula One car to race around the tracks, and really not giving it the things it needs in order to be successful. And so some of the feedback and the key challenges that we hear are a lack of AI-ready data, whether that's data in the right place, in the right format. But the first part of many of these projects is about getting the information ready for secondary use. A lack of trust, whether that is trust in the hallucinations or trust in the quality of the model, trust in the data that's being provided. Complexity is another one, so it is a very fast-moving space. Every day it seems like there's a new announcement about someone trying something different, and that is adding to the complexity around this whole world and challenging projects in becoming successful. And then finally, just like Formula One, you can very quickly find out that there are extremely high costs if you don't contain, token usage is generally a measure for these sorts of projects. If you don't contain them, not only can you have very high token usage and costs associated with that, but in processing the data and getting it to where it needs to be, you can also rack up very large high costs around cloud. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at what InterSystems is doing and how we are approaching this particular problem. So in IRIS for Health, the roadmap and the direction of our product and development team is really about creating differentiated AI capabilities, about innovation in the data platform, and experiences built for ease of use. And I'll cover a few of these as we go, but you'll also see some of it in the later sessions from Juanito and Nicole. Some of these examples might be things that we're doing to make it easier for your developers to actually implement AI. Some of them are in the core data engine, which helps data move faster, helps it get to where it needs to be, adheres to standards, can be trusted, can be, you can look at the lineage, all those kind of good things that you need. And others are really about productivity. So let's have a quick look at a very small snapshot of some of those that we're working on. And again, Nicole and Juanito will touch on some of these in a bit more detail. Certainly what we've learned in recent years is that developers in this space really prefer Python, VS Code, and Jupyter Notebooks. So we're really putting a lot of effort into this area. and helping on the integration side for productions that are created, your interoperability productions, to more rapidly validate them. And we have this concept of, a bit like Microsoft, the co-pilot, not always named the co-pilot, could be the assistant, but being able to help you do more with interoperability. You can see down the bottom, agentic experiences. I talked a bit about that this morning, but things like using SQL, a SQL assistant, so maybe it's faster to figure out where the problems are in your code, faster to connect and collect data from different systems. And that really flows through a number of these sorts of themes. So the team will talk a bit about bulk fire, which is a way of getting fire data fast between systems. Having that AI and wizard-driven, we think will help with your productivity in getting that data to where it's needed for other AI projects. And we'll touch on a new low-code, no-code experience, the InterSystems Data Studio, which is designed really to help get more business users and more non-engineers able to connect data and start working with AI and other BI and other projects. Okay, so just going through some of those key points around the challenges. One of the big advantages that we're seeing more and more is that because IRIS has interoperability baked into the design, baked into the capabilities, we're able to offer you and in your projects things like removing or reducing duplication. Scott talked about this, not having to store the data in different formats because one particular tool requires it in this way and another requires it in another. Through the interoperability components in IRIS, being able to eliminate manual handling, which of course plays into the whole thing around trust. So if we know that the data's come through, it's gotten to where it needs to be, we can see the lineage, we know exactly the authenticity of it, you can see how it was transformed, then not only can you eliminate manual handling, but you can also get really high quality trusted data. And again, using all of the functionality of IRIS, but particularly interoperability, making sure that it is private and secure. So you didn't see it in the presentations this morning, but a lot of that relies on knowing that the data is being sent to the right place, that it's trusted, authorized, and coming back in such a way that it can then be used safely. And I know it's a bit busy, this slide, but I left each of the squares panels on there because I often find there's so much in the integration part of IRIS that people aren't aware of. I'm not going to go through all of them, but quite often people will be using it really to pass through data, but it also does things like file transfers, business process orchestration, API management. There's a whole world of things in here which can really simplify the projects that you're working on, and potentially, if nothing else, it might actually reduce cost because you could use some of these functionalities that you're already paying for as part of your next project. So I mentioned complexity earlier. This is one of our ideas and things that we've been working on for a few years now, the InterSystems Data Studio. Again, to lower the complexity, and complexity comes in many forms, but this is really one of the ones which will help AI and these sorts of really powerful initiatives reach more people. And just to contrast it to IRIS, so the Data Studio is built on IRIS, so it inherits all of its architecture, capabilities in one way or another. It's not for developers to build, it's really for people to configure solutions. So I think they call them recipes, but being able to bring in data from different sources, perform some actions on it, and then have it ready for the next stage, whether that's AI or reporting, dashboards, or applications. That's really what this kind of Data Studio is all about. And just in case you are interested, it is only available as a cloud managed service. We're not offering it on-prem. Contrast that with IRIS, you can do that in any way you like. On-prem, cloud, hybrid, anything that your organisation needs. Scott also talked this morning a bit about Epic and the graph that really shows just how powerful IRIS has become and is becoming, and how Epic puts it to the test each and every year. This is the next part of that, which he didn't go into. And so what we've seen, and it's not unique to 2023 to 2024, but every year IRIS gets released with more power. It gets faster, and not only does it get faster, you can see Epic reported here 25% increase. Well, I suppose it's a decrease in time to wait for access, but the core efficiency also improves. Now, that might mean very little if you're really thinking about transactions and databases, but if you're paying the bills for the hardware and your system is getting more efficient every year, you can reduce your cloud costs. Just a couple of quick points, as I said, really to show how we're aligning to AI. But I suppose this story could have been told in many different ways over many years. We have a very powerful architecture that goes a long way back into our heritage, an approach that allows us to be flexible and can adapt. And really, when it comes to AI, this stacking your Formula One car on top of the Lego bricks like this allows you to have more successful projects more quickly and potentially lower cost, and obviously with a much higher level of trust.